Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monster Report, a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. Nick Adam here, your host. Monster Reports that just show that you've come to join us to talk Kaiju, Godzilla, Gamera, Rodan, Mothra, all of those great rubber-suited monsters, tokusatsu films. We'll talk some Ultraman. We'll talk some Jurassic Park, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're here, you are going to atomic blast that like button, as my good friend Everett Grondin from Godzilla Fan Freaks, and I think he's already in the chat here. First comment of the day, ready and waiting. Awesome. So good to have you here, Everett. And if you're in the chat, we're going to have some trivia questions for you coming along. This is going to be a fun episode, especially since my guest talks a little bit of things that are, maybe adult beverage wise. And as my guest would tell you, drink responsibly. You should be over 21 if you're in the United States and drinking, of course, any kind of adult beverage, alcoholic beverage. So, oh no, Samson, you were not the first to comment, but you were maybe the first to get one in there when we went live. So, Samson, good to have you. Stick around. We have Thirsty Thursday Toys is chatting, and he's my guest. I don't know how he's in an alternate dimension too. I think I don't know that it's his future self. So, anyways. That all aside, we'll bring in our guest in here in just a second. So we're going to talk about Kaiju upbringing, talk about some of our favorite monster films, giant monster films, dinosaur films, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll talk collectibles, of course. If you're into X Plus, Sofubi characters, if you're into just all kinds of cool collectible stuff that we like to line our shelves with here at the Monster Report headquarters. And of course, we encourage you guys to like, subscribe, and comment. Join us in the chats, find some of the other videos. And of course, you'll want to go to my guest's YouTube channel as well and subscribe to his channel, like and comment, and get him up there in the algorithm as well, because my special guest I've been with on Monsters with Attitude, met him through that, and very pleased to bring you Adam from Thirsty Thursday Toys. Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for doing this. This is awesome. I love this.
I was really looking forward to it. We have some great conversations on Monsters with Attitude, talking Pacific Rim, and what did we talk to before that? Jurassic Park. Yeah, that was awesome.
I still have some of the stuff set up from last time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so I discovered your channel through that, and I was just checking things out after that, and today especially, and was just loving everything about it.
Thank you.
You had to describe your channel for people who are not maybe familiar with it. Go ahead, tell me what it's all about.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen Thirsty Thursday Toys, it's a toy review channel that also has drink recipes to go along with each figure, matching the drink to either the colors of the toy or the film it's from or the character itself. So I bring in a lot of weird elements. So if you like bizarre cocktails along with your toy reviews, that's Thirsty Thursday Toys.
So go there, check it out, and obviously go to YouTube and search for Thirsty Thursday Toys. And you're probably also on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, I got Instagram on there. It's all the behind the scenes photos and stuff.
Awesome. Yes. And one of the things that I was watching and checking out today was the especially loved the Oxygen Destroyer episode. That one was fantastic. Being able to get that Mentos. I mean, that's not part of the normal, what I would think of as a bartender, setting up something for your drink. Was that something that you just came up with, or you've seen this before?
It's a lot of the drinks that I come up with, I picture it in my head. I'm like, how can I make this happen? And then like the taste is kind of an afterthought. So that one's not the best tasting, but there was a lot of science going into that one. I'm like, okay, how can I get something bubbly beyond just a carbonated beverage? I did a bunch with like Alka-Seltzer and stuff, but then like it was too medicated. I'm like, that gets weird. But yeah, there was a lot of science that went into that one until I figured out, okay, how do I activate the Mentos to bubble in that way to look how I pictured in my head.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was cool actually, and I
love
the fact that shot glass had the Oxygen Destroyer on it, and it was just like it's coming straight out of the Oxygen Destroyer itself inside the glass. So I was like, that just works perfectly. And I was like, even if you weren't a drinker, That works. So Samson West proceeds to go to chug drink. So thirsty. So
Yeah.
proceeds to chug drink. What I was thinking, you said proceeds, like if you were to super chat in here. And I've had every once in a while somebody super chat. So please do that. And thank you so much for the tips. And we're here for your tips. Thank you so much. Yeah, so on YouTube and being able to share that with you, several videos. I mean, I didn't get the chance to go through probably 50% of them. How many videos so far you think you got, and drinks that you've come up with?
Over 150, I think. I started, I think it was the first Thursday of 2021 is when I put the first video, and I've done one every Thursday since. And they haven't all been recipes. Like in the beginning, I was doing some weird stuff, kind of figuring it out. But yeah, the past couple years have been just a new recipe every week. So they're not all winners, but there's something.
Gotcha. And we'll talk a little about your kaiju upbringing and how you got to this point and in content creation. And then maybe you might have something to share with us about how you put together a drink and maybe have something that you'd like to show our audience here, if that's cool. Yep.
Yeah, I can mix up a drink right now.
It's up to you if you want to do that now or want to talk a little kaiju upbringing and whatever you'd like to do.
Sure. Well, let's get this going real quick. If anyone's got the ingredients and can mix along. So correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding you like Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Love the creature. Yes, the gill man.
Okay, I'm like, good. I remember that came up in conversation before. So there's a drink called the Blue Lagoon, which is blue curacao, vodka, and either lemonade. I've also seen lemon juice and like club soda. But I realized if we put some black food coloring in a blue lagoon, it becomes a black lagoon. I go very literal with drinks sometimes. So I can't be the first person to come up with this, but I figure I'll try it for the first time here, a black lagoon. So with the blue lagoon, you need 1 ounce of blue curacao. And let's put it here.
Wow.
And then 1 ounce of vodka. Get this out of the way. Make sure I don't spill everything all over.
This is not an endorsement for any particular brand of
usually. So in all the videos, I cover up the labels. If anyone wants to sponsor it, then I'll happily show off their brand. But when I make the drinks, I like to use the cheapest ingredients, because I've had people say, like, I went to make this drink, but I go to the liquor store and it's $75 worth of stuff. So I try to make it as inexpensive for people as possible. Okay, right. So we got blue curacao, we got vodka. Let's get some lemon juice. Squeeze in there, and some ice.
I'm gonna pour a drink on my end because I can't taste the deliciousness of what Adam's putting together. But I figured we'd have a toast, so I have my inexpensive wine. So Moscato. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna add in some black food coloring. I know there are craft mixologists out there just cringing at my use of food coloring, but it works. Top that off with some seltzer here.
Lemon seltzer? Yeah.
Lemon seltzer to make it extra lemony. And there we go. Black Lagoon.
Oh, excellent. I toast to your Black Lagoon, my friend. Cheers. And we'll talk some toast quotes later that are in kaiju films. How is that? Tell me how it fares up.
It's pretty good, actually. It's not as sweet as I typically go for. So I would have probably used a lemonade, but this is what I had on hand, and this actually works. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's going to turn my tongue like black or blue or something. Yep, there it goes.
Yes, it does.
But it's not bad.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the Gill Man as well in the Creature series?
I haven't seen it in years. It's been forever. So I gotta. There's I have this whole list of things. I gotta rewatch all the Gameras and the all those kind of things.
Yeah. The Gill Man trilogy is awesome. Of course, as a kaiju fan, the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla with that Creature theme song, or every time the creature appears, it appears in King Kong versus Godzilla in the Universal cut, because they had music from their Universal library that they decided to cut some of the Ifukube music and throw that ba 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 in there. when the squid's on screen, or at times unnecessarily when Godzilla and Kong are fighting, that creature theme is coming on. So I saw King Kong versus Godzilla first, and then when I went to watch the creature, I'm like, what's going on here? And then
I get that with the dinosaur sound effects from Jurassic Park. I hear I'm like, oh, that's in other things. I'm like, that's the Velociraptor, that's the T-Rex, that they've just taken the sounds from.
Yeah,
it's always fun to hear those.
I've definitely heard, some of the sound effects appear in other things. Samson is drinking along there with us. Samson, thank you.
Cheers.
Good friend from Monsters with Attitude. If the rest of the MWA crew are out there, you need to chime in here. Bobby Reynolds is in the house. Good to have you. Thank you last time for that super chat, and no obligation for anyone to super chat. It's very much appreciated. That's not why we're here. We're here to have a great conversation about our favorite entertainment and our favorite creatures. And so, Adam, tell me about how it started for you. Was it early childhood? Was it later on in life? For dinosaurs, monsters, I know you're a fan of the IP broadly.
Yeah, I think it started with Peter Pan. I saw Peter Pan when I was 1. I saw the crocodile. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Like reptiles, that's it. Green and reptiles, I'm done. So I went from there. I was into crocodiles, just everything crocodile. I don't care what it was. If it had a crocodile on it, I needed it in my life. So I got a lot of that, a lot of collectibles. And then, of course, that fed into dinosaurs. And then Jurassic Park came out when I was 5. And then I had this turtle phase for a while. And then my mom went out. My parents were super supportive. They're like, he likes this. Let's get him everything books with turtles and crocodiles and everything. And my mom was at the library one day. She's looking through the VHS section, and she sees this movie with this giant turtle fighting a giant lizard. It was Gamera versus Baragon. And she's like, oh, Adam might like this. And I watched it. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. More, please. And then she went back and got Godzilla versus Biollante. And that was the beginning of the end. And did I say I was 6? I was like 6, somewhere around there. And after that I was hooked. I'm like, I didn't know this existed, and I'm sold 100%.
And so interesting that you had Gamera before Godzilla even.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
Wow.
But it was Gamera first.
And it was probably the video rental store, I assume, or DVDs?
It was just at the public library.
Okay. Yeah, the library.
Awesome. So it's free.
Yeah, even better. So Gamera, my video store actually had the Gamera VHS of the, what do they call those? The whatever kids, celebrity kids.
The 4 kids kind of, yes. That was the one.
And it was like, oh man, I love these. But man, some of them were like, this was in the children's section. This is like Guiron, he's like chopping apart gas. And I'm just like, wow. That was like, but of course, I love that too. He's being able to take them out of order and get into them. So where did it go from there? 6 years old, you're discovering Godzilla, how giant a monster can get beyond the crocodile and beyond Gamera even.
Yeah, well, so from there, I think the next one was Godzilla Raids Again. But I still kept watching Godzilla movies after that. I'm like, this is not my favorite. But yeah, just seeing those, and then again, my parents super supportive. They're like, okay, well, what else Godzilla and Gamera is out there? So they found other video stores. They found the for kids, the Gamera movies, and it was cool. We found looking back now, I'm like, oh, these are bootlegs. We've got a lot of bootleg VHS movies. Right after they had come out in Japan, we got Godzilla vs. Destroya. So this was. I guess it wasn't right after, because it was that was like 95, and that was right around when the Trendmaster figures came out, 94, 95.
Okay.
And so I just discovered this, and now there's a whole section at Toys R Us with these figures. So that came out at the perfect time. So I had never, because I know a lot of collectors older than myself have been talking about there wasn't a lot that they had when they were growing up, but I hit it right when it was becoming that much bigger and more mainstream. So I really lucked out in that capacity. So it was like, cool, we got the toys, we got the movies over here, we got stuff that, I started going to Comic Cons and things and getting the comics, getting G-Fan, learning about G-Fest. And then I finally got to go to that when I was in high school. I was like a sophomore, junior in high school. when I first got to go, and then now, here we are going to the conventions, doing things like this, which is, it's grown a lot.
Yeah. And as Samson says, nothing screams child friendly like kaiju dismemberment. Yes, absolutely. Bobby Reynolds.
There's very clean cuts, no blood.
Yeah, yeah. There's some cool top 5 from Bobby there. And so, we start discovering our favorite things about this. And what is it that, I guess, did it take you from there? It sounds like collecting became a big part of it. Did it start with the Trendmasters, I assume?
Yeah, so my first Godzilla anything ever was the Trendmasters. I think it was the big set. It was like a 10-pack or something with the 4-inch figures. And then I had to get like the entire line. And then we had, when I was growing up, when I was little, we had an exchange student from Japan. I think I was 3 when she stayed with us for about a year. And then we've kept in touch. So every year after that, we'd send Christmas cards and things. And once she found out that like I had discovered Godzilla, she started sending over some things and like, hope you come to the land of Godzilla. And she sent over my first Japanese figure, which was the little hyper boxed Godzilla 1954. And at that point, like I didn't really have a sense of the world, so I knew like somewhere out there is Godzilla land, and that like opened up, that changed everything. I'm like, there's more than just this section at Toys R Us. And yeah, there are, some local collectible places, because I grew up like just outside of Portland, which is a great place for, weird collectible shops and stuff. But there were some like right there in my hometown that like would import the Movie Monster series figures, or I think it was like Godzilla Island that they're called at the time. So there was a lot. Every birthday there was something more and more, and now I'm literally surrounded by this stuff. It's a problem.
Yeah, and I'll let you take a drink while I kind of talk about the next point there. So we'll go back and forth with drinks and back and forth like this, and give you the chance to refreshen up. And of course, I appreciate about your channel, and we'll talk about your channel here coming up. Is you talk about drink responsibly, hydrate while you drink? Yes, absolutely. Yes,
stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's but tell everyone that it's something for adults to enjoy, and this is a great conversation between two dudes that are talking about what we love. We could be talking about sports, but it's like sports ball, whatever. Give me the monsters, And so your IP kind of interest. I know Jurassic Park, Godzilla, Peripheral, Kaiju. Was there anything else in the geek dumb, I guess you could call it, of collecting and or entertainment on TV, movies, so on and so forth, that is also big on your radar?
Transformers, that got pretty big when the Michael Bay movies came out. 2007? Because I know, like, my brother, he growing up in the 80s, he was like, okay, he's got the Ninja Turtles, he's got the Transformers and stuff, and I was never really into those until Skullcruncher was the crocodile Transformer. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm in. I'm sold. And then I didn't really go much from there until the live action movies came out. And then I saw those. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And then that became like the third biggest collection that I have. So it's got Godzilla, it's got Jurassic stuff, I got Transformers, which is where the logo, all the fonts, you got Godzilla, Jurassic, and Transformers.
Perfect. So
those are the biggest things, I guess.
Yeah, and is your Transformers collection, does it kind of stick with, like, some people are like G1 or Beast Wars, or they're from the later series? Are you just kind of all around Transformers?
It started with just the movieverse ones, and then I started getting more into like, okay, let's get a little G1. I need an Optimus Prime, I need a Megatron, I need the whole core cast kind of thing. But it's mostly like, what alt modes do I like the best? Let's get that. Let's get Soundwave and Shockwave are the biggest. Apparently, I don't like eyes. I don't know what it is. It's something about visors. Gigan is my favorite kaiju. That's a visor. You got Soundwave. That's a visor. I don't know. I'm drawn to that aesthetic, I think. So there is a lot of that. If it's a Transformer with a visor and like no mouth, I'm in. I'm sold.
I'm surprised that the Dinobots weren't maybe a big part, or maybe they are.
They're okay. I love the Dinobots, but most of the Grimlock figures, the tail is this like chunky mass that, and I like, like this. It's not very proportionate, Yeah, it's too chunky for me. But
Yeah, because I think his Grimlock arms are tucked into there, maybe, or I don't know. It's they're big, and yeah, it doesn't proportionally look correct for a dinosaur. And of course, in the cartoon series, the scales and things like that, just like Optimus Prime's trailer, can just disappear.
It just vanished. Yeah, that mass shifting is.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Anyway, so. Yeah, the peripheral IP, you're not just limited to just the kaiju and monsters, dinosaurs, Transformers part of that. I find myself into Motu, Masters of the Universe, things I grew up with. I could get into Turtles or Star Wars, but oh my goodness, the galaxy of just collectibles and things that I could burn a serious hole in my wallet, even more than what the kaiju stuff does already. It's kind of like, narrow it down, focus on what you can collect and you feel like you can surround yourself with.
I hear a lot of people are like, oh, I'm afraid to get into whatever that is because that's a whole different thing. And I feel that I'm out of room for, like, I set up this whole Jurassic display and then I'm like, but then I don't have room for this. So then I pare that down and then it's like, uh-oh. So yeah, I get that and I feel that. And I've been having to do a lot of pruning. The more stuff, because a lot of collectors, they have like different policies, like, okay, 1 in, 1 out kind of thing. And I just have 1 in and then another 1 in and then some more in. And that,
little in,
and then
little
I start like
out.
putting things, So
it's the shelves. The shelves are the problem.
Yeah, they're too small.
Right. More shelves. Or like me, you had to build an entire office because of that problem. And it's like, if there's another square inch of space that I can get another figure or another set of figures. Yeah. And Godzilla's, he's always taken up so much room because that stinking tail.
The tails, right? But that's one thing I love about the monster arts is like, oh, I can bend the tail around and fit more in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything with the articulation. So let's get into content creation, and then we're going to have some fun with everyone in the chat here. So you started your YouTube channel relatively recently. I guess during pandemic, not pre-pandemic, but definitely during, I guess. But So what was the inspiration for that, and where has it led you from there?
Yeah, well, so like a couple of years prior, one of my friends is like, hey, Adam, you have a lot of figures. You know a lot about the figures. You like to do like a read aloud voice kind of thing. You would be great for doing toy reviews. And I said, that sounds fun, but also, like, at the time I was thinking, like, there's no way I can compete because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of toy reviewers already on YouTube. And for those watching who like want to start a channel, do it. Like, if you're gonna have fun with it, go nuts. It's not a competition. Because there's so many different styles and personalities and things and figures that are looked at. So I put it off for a couple years, and then I kind of, once the schools closed down, I'm like, well, might as well do something. I was trying to figure out what's a twist that I could do, what's something a little bit different that I could bring to make it worth watching, not just different figures. Because like initially I was like, I've done a lot of like looking up toy reviews for a certain figure and there's no review of it. And I'm like, I want more information. So I try to bring in some obscure things. But then I'm like, okay, what's something else I could bring in? And I made weird drinks like in college, just these bizarre mashups of stuff. And like we used to like take TV shows and be like, okay, what drink would represent each character in this show kind of thing. Or like, okay, if each of us were a cocktail, what would that be? So I had a lot of time. I spent a lot of time coming up with drinks for characters and things, like a Jurassic Park themed party. So I made mosquitoes and amber Jello shots, and then I'm like, I'll combine them because it's fun and it was creative and it's turned into this. And this is year 3, I think. So 2.5 years in, I'm still generating ideas, which has been really fun creatively.
And I know recently you've crossed the 1,000 subscriber threshold.
Yes, yeah, we're at 1,150 something, I think, which is bananas.
That is awesome.
That's for everyone having a YouTube channel. You obviously want to see that growth. You want that to happen. You want it to take off. You want, the monetization and all the stuff that comes with it, which was always like a hope and a goal kind of thing. But to have something so bizarre, like my channel, to have that many people curious and interested has been awesome and ego inflating for sure.
Well, it's carved an audience for you, and it's giving you something unique, like you talked about. You could do like everyone else does with the toy reviews, or everyone else with film reviews, or everyone else with comic book reviews. I mean, there's so many ways of going about it, but bringing in the drink side of things, I don't assume that you've had moonlighting as a bartender time or something along the lines of that.
I've thought about becoming a bartender. I actually recently got my mixology permit. I'm now legally allowed to serve drinks in my home state. But I'm terrified to go out to a bar and like do that like in context kind of thing, and because it was a whole long course and there was a giant section on like liability, which makes me terrified. But that is something I'm considering. But like I've looked into like working at a liquor store. There's like the one that I frequently go to. I was looking for a certain thing, and I'm like, if this doesn't work, then I'll do X, Y, and Z. And then I was talking to an employee, and they're like, oh, well, we don't have that, but you could do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, if I already have this knowledge, if I can do this, then maybe I could work here. I could recommend things. I could give ideas.
Yeah. Well, and what you've got going is sorry, say again.
Oh, no. I like someday we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Someday, yeah, it's out there. You don't know what the future, holds for it. Samson is just saying, someone just been added to your subscriber list. Weirdo from Georgia. I think I know him. Great big guy. Sent him a VHS tape of Godzilla versus Ebra recently. So yeah. Yeah. And he lives in Georgia and knows nothing about peaches, interestingly. But, it's like me in Indiana. Sometimes I don't know what's growing out in the fields or whatever. So it's like, it is what it is. Yeah. You could be saying, I guess you're just north of Napa Valley. Does it extend into the area that you're in, or with the whole wine thing?
So I'm about an hour or so south of Seattle. So I'm a little too far north of that, but yeah, it's still hot though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're gonna have some fun, and this is gonna get the chance for everyone in the chat, of course, to chime in and talk a little about this. And we're gonna have some quotes from the kaiju films that are out there. So just chime in the chat if you know where this is, what film this is actually said in. And so definitely chime in and let us know. And bonus points if you the points mean nothing, but the bonus points if you can tell me who said these lines. So we're gonna have some fun with this. But Jacob Lingle, good to have you. Adam's the best.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And good to have you in the chat. So like, subscribe, all of those great things. Jacob throwing mad facts. Okay. Yep.
No.
The mad facts. So, all right, this isn't one with quotes, but this is going to be the worst kaiju drinking game ever. So drinking responsibly, but let's say you were to make a kaiju drinking game and you had the rules. Every time someone does this or this happens, what have you. And so we got a top 10 list here that calls into, you're watching any kaiju film. Godzilla, Rodan, Gamera, Mothra, whatever. Heisei, Showa, Millennium, Legendary, doesn't matter. These are tropes that happen in all of these films. And so we've got to get in here. What could be the worst one? Because by the end of it, you'll be so inebriated, you won't realize you're watching a kaiju film. You'll be living it. And, literally living it. And so I'm going to start with number 10 here. So these are the rules for our worst kaiju drinking game ever. Every time the humans consider using a nuke on Godzilla, they always seem to go back to this idea that they can use a nuke on the monster that's created by nuclear energy.
Right? Yeah. Like fighting fire with fire?
And they never went ahead with it. They're always just like, we're considering it. We might do that. But it's like it never.
More Maser tanks.
Maser tanks, yes, they work so well. Yeah. All right, so there's our number 10. Go ahead with number 9 if you don't mind.
All right, number 9. Every time a kid character finds out how to beat the monster.
This reminds you of any films that for the kid?
The camera films have so many kids. So many kids doing stuff, getting their head shaved and kidnapped and all sorts of stuff going on with those poor kids.
That Guiron, that kid, the Caucasian kid, with the stick sucker, what do you call it?
Oh yeah,
the suction cup gun. The boy needs to be in special forces. I mean, his aim was
that aim is impeccable.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how it is. So, you think your warheads are in your alley? I was born in it, molded by it. Yes. Kids straight up Attack on Titans. Okay. All right. So that was our kid character. That happens every once in a while in the films. And we've got number 8. Every time a monster gets knocked off their feet. Happens a lot. If they have feet.
If they
yeah.
And if they don't, like Zigra, and then now it has feet suddenly.
Right. Whether they're feet, tentacles, whether they are part of the, they're flying monsters. So, yeah. Hit Godzilla with a nuke and it's like Popeye. You can hear this in your head. You can hear the theme song. Yes, the spinach. My spinach. Every Godzilla fight ever. Yeah.
These rules they work for every kaiju film. They're
exactly. Great. Yeah. Whether it's a solo Godzilla film or not. So there's our number 8.
All right, number 7. Are we ready? Every time a city calls for evacuation.
Oh, I think I was out of order. Sorry, that's my fault. Yeah, you're right. Yep, sorry. Every time a city, calls for the evacuation, so they have the alarm, and
sometimes it's multiple cities.
Where do they go in Japan, other than the countryside? I mean,
well, yeah, like in Shin Godzilla, they follow this whole path to get like up through into Tokyo, so they're constantly
exactly yeah. And I think I may be out of order a little, so bear with me. Apologies, Adam here. So yeah, the evacuation is called, and they are. I always thought that even as a kid in 1985, they call for the evacuation of Tokyo. Beyond the fact that it's such a huge city with such a population, it takes days to empty out the city. That they have to go by sections of the city. I mean, this district or that district, but in like Shin Godzilla, they were calling for the entire evacuation, and at least there was some realism to it. It's murder. I mean, it's there's just no way. So yeah, we have. So I'm going to skip actually what I had as number 7. So I'm going to what should be number 6. So just consider this in your list. Number 6. Every time there's shameless advertising on screen. Dr. Pepper. Yeah, exactly. So it's the shameless advertising. For me, that was my first kaiju film. My first Godzilla film was 1985, and there it is, as big as life. Don't know why, but I'm thirsty for a Dr. Pepper. And so and there he is drinking it, label out. I learned about the shameless advertising from our kaiju film. There's a lot of other advertising that goes on. Nikon, I see a lot in the background.
All sorts of technology, vehicles. Yeah.
Yep. Sony's a lot.
Sony, tons of Sony.
There's your shameless advertising. All right.
I was gonna say like 85. I remember that was one of the earliest ones, and I didn't like it as a kid because I'm like, where's the other monster? Because everything I'd seen up to that point, but like as an adult, I love it. Yeah. And that one, I don't think there was much advertising in the Japanese version, which I'm sure you saw much later, but
American version, very much prominent. Though there is a Ghostbusters poster in the Japanese and American version.
Oh.
Yeah. And you have to look carefully. It is right as the helicopter gets blasted out of the sky and hits the highway before it starts blowing up, which I guess is actually lifted from another film. I think it's called The Prophecies of Nostradamus, something to that effect. But it was also the year of G, Godzilla, Gremlins, and Ghostbusters. So 1985 was a big year. 84, 85, essentially.
Yeah. I write that down. That's really good.
Yeah. So there's your shameless advertising. Next up.
All right. If I've got the order right, it's every time the military is called in and bonus for failing.
Maser tanks.
Maser tanks. Oh, Maser tanks.
2 of 3 Super X's.
Yeah.
Failed miserably. I talk about those in my review episodes a lot. First one, put the pilots inside the Super X. Don't remote pilot it. Second one, remote pilot it because that's smart.
Learning.
Diamond, mirror and all
fire
that.
mirror.
Yeah. Oh, maybe 1985 was also the year of Goonies. I believe you're right. So,
ooh.
Yeah. Bobby Reynolds is a fan of Dr. Pepper. Yep. It may have started with Kaiju. Who knows? It's it's okay. I don't know. It's like not my favorite, but it's okay. So yeah.
I like
so the military, they try their darndest. And interestingly, I've had this conversation with other Kaiju fans too. Why don't they ever try it twice? If it did actually work, for instance, I'm trying to think. Obviously, the oxygen destroyed the technology, died with Sarazawa, but there are other times it almost worked. The anti-nuclear energy bacteria came close to working. Okay, you could try again, just get the circumstances correct, and I'll bet it'll work.
As much as I don't really care for the anime trilogy, they do that. They try something, it fails, and they're like, okay, why did this fail? They go deep into the science of it. They figure it out. I'm like, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And they, even the Mechagodzilla 2, they pretty much had him down for the count. Rodan threw a wrench in it, but yeah. So there's that. This will definitely get you inebriated before the end of the film. Every monster roar. It's just
I've done that one before. Like that was the only rule. And,
it's just never ending, right? Yeah. And if they're in a fight together, it's
well, it's like the first half hour, I'm like, nothing. And then it hits. And I'm like, oh no.
And it can't be a sip, right? I mean, sip for every roar. It's and Ghidra has 3 heads, so that's triple.
Ooh.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse. So, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So Jacob's telling guys, I just watched King Kong vs. Godzilla, and I think I have alcohol poisoning before it's done. Yes, you would, just on that film alone. So, yeah, the monster roars. What do we got next?
All right, number 3, every senseless death, human or otherwise.
There's lots of senseless deaths.
Yeah, lots
unnamed
of buildings and cars. And...
that entire highway blew up. We don't know anyone on there, but I'm sure there was a lot of deaths. Every time a building's knocked over, every time, yeah. And the thing is, you don't know who they are, but yet it's like, wow, a lot of people died, but everyone likes to sit back and watch the monster action because it's just too cool to, run away. I mean, I want to stand here and watch it like it's WWE or whatever wrestling match. It's just too cool to turn my eyes away.
And then a tail comes through.
Right. Yes. Takes everyone out. And sometimes the bad guy human gets it. And other times it's just everyone, it's he has no Godzilla or other monsters have no, care for it, care for who you are. And so the senseless deaths, they're all around.
In the chaotic neutral kind of.
Yeah. And I have a drink for each and every one of you. Every time a useless meeting is held. Shin Godzilla.
I was gonna say Shin Godzilla, you just get like an IV drip.
It's just and they have to have the committee meeting that's part of the subcommittee to whatever, to the prime minister's cabinet of whatever, and they're meeting in this specific room, but now they need to adjourn to this other room. And my goodness, where the heck are we? Who are these people? Does each one of them have something to contribute?
When I saw that, I saw it in Japan with one of my friends who's lives there, and afterwards he was explaining to me, he's like, I think a lot of this is based on recent stuff that had been happening in Japan, a lot of this stuff about like red tape in the news and all this kind of bureaucracy, and he's like, I think this is kind of like an indictment of the actual things that have been going on here in Japan. I'm like, okay, seeing that as kind of a farce has kind of changed my perspective on that film for sure.
Right. Yeah. It definitely opens it up for the correct scrutiny of what message it was trying to convey. It may not make sense to American audiences as much unless we had that context.
Yeah.
So
I would have no idea.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I said, this is a realistic look. This is probably the way it would happen. There would be a lot of red tape, and there's going to be a lot of politicking of who is really in charge here, and who isn't, and who's going to take charge, who's going to use this for political advantageous career building, and some of that was in there as well. So yeah, useless meetings. Shin Godzilla is definitely one, but yeah, even the classics. It's like, do we really need to gather? Can't we just, somebody who's really in charge and knows what they're doing, just decide to do, the person who's actually in charge?
Cities are being leveled as we talk.
Mm-hmm.
Action.
Yeah, the deaths are piling up on us, the senseless deaths. Yeah. And so I'll leave the number one to you, good Adam.
Which brings us to number one, every time a human character loses their cool. Which kind of ties in with number 5.
Yeah. They lose their cool, they panic, and mistakes are made.
Yep.
Yeah. I think of, what was it? It's Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. The panic, in the main character, shooting the maser tank. And it's like he's getting tickled by it anyways. The difference of shooting him in the eye, I guess, is that you've just made him mad to the point where he's gonna literally target you. Oh, losing his cool. There it is. Yes, he was definitely his mind was going. Mr. Taco, great reference right there. Yes, absolutely. And
I keep thinking of the poor woman in the hospital in GMK. They I think it's GMK. They keep cutting to her in different situations.
Yes,
Godzilla's always there. Oh.
Yeah, she's cursed to be followed by him somehow.
Yeah,
and ultimately lose her life to him. Yeah, but yeah, there's that, and even I see this in a lot of Harryhausen, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, the 20 Million Miles to Earth. There's always some damsel in distress who sees the creature, and instead of running away, she's looking directly at it, hands on her face, screaming, competing with Fay Ray, this queen of scream, and King Kong, also losing her mind. And, again, it's like we had to have the people screaming on top of that. No one's really got it together saying, okay, in an organized fashion, we are going to run away from it. Don't push, Yeah. They're always losing their cool. So talking about a character who truly had too much alcohol, the drunk Godzilla 1985/84. One of my favorite characters of all time. He's the heart of that film. He's right there. I don't know where they got this idea in a very serious kaiju film like 84 that they had to have this character, but interesting. Just I assume he's homeless. I assume that, wouldn't you?
I'm curious about how they like the writer's room, how that worked. Like, okay, he is hammered, and he's gonna yell at Godzilla.
Yeah,
and it's gonna work out so well for him.
Did you see what he was actually drinking?
Oh no, that's something that I do when I get a figure or something. I'm like, let me rewatch the film and see what liquids or drinks are actually in that I can bring in. So that's on my list. It's like, what was he drinking? Was it, because in my memory it's a brown paper bag, but like that's wrong.
Well, and he may have had a brown paper bag on the streets, but I think in the restaurant, possibly it was a brandy of some sort. I'm just assuming. Well, he didn't even drink it. He just took a sniff. So maybe he drank. But yeah, I think it was something along the lines of a brandy. But has there been other of the films that you've actually seen the literal beverage that was being poured? Whether it was, I'm thinking of Godzilla versus Mothra, Kenji Sahara's character. I think he may have been having a martini of some sort, or I don't know.
Yeah, so I've looked back at things. Some things it's been hard. Like I don't see the bottle, but I see what they're drinking, and I can surmise based on the color. Like, okay, could be one of these options. You have, oh gosh, what was it? Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the original. The alien commander. He has this like green beverage in a thing. I'm like, that looks delicious. But there was one, Godzilla, or not Godzilla, Gamera versus Legion. Mm-hmm. There's a whole scene where the Legion soldiers like break in. I think it was Sapporo. It was one of the beers, but you could clearly see that's again the advertising, and like all these bottles smash, but like you can see all the labels, and I'm like, okay, that'll be I could use that for sure.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely, they even had the line, what a waste of good beer,
Right?
Absolutely. Oh, what is Quint drinking in Jaws? Actually, I don't know. What is he drinking?
What is he drinking in Jaws?
I imagine it's American beer, but I could be wrong about that. But that'd be something to look up. The power of the internet, the power of Google be with you. Chat, find out what Quint was drinking, because we're going to talk about The Drunk in 1985. I actually reshot sort of a skit of this with Kyle from Kaiju Cast, actually, and it was when I had him on my show many, many moons ago, but probably nearly a decade ago, where he was Godzilla and I was the drunk, and I did the bad dubbing. Actually, you'll have to check that out sometime, but it's on my channel way back when I used to be a teacher, actually. So I'm playing the drunk in my old TV classroom. So whatever. But he had a line, which was okay, but possibly thinking about an alternate line. And actually, I gave you the three I had. But if you had a better response he could have had to Godzilla roaring through the window, I'm all ears. And if you need a minute, I can go through this list first, Adam. Or
do you want to go back and forth, or?
Sure, we'll go back and forth. But if you have a better one, or if the chat has a better line that he could have responded to Godzilla with, I'll start with one of my. Dude, I get it. They keep rebuilding this place, and you keep smashing it. So, which, he might have said something to that effect. He was ready to move into the city of Tokyo. You want to hang out with me here? You got to learn some manners. So he was ready to live in the dystopian, smashed up city of Tokyo with Godzilla, I assume, was his plan. And so there we have. Samson is responding with that name of beer, Narragansett.
Is that a real brand or just something made up for the film? Like an in-universe?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but Could be. It's like the generic, everyone's number in movies is 555. So anyway, yeah. Okay. Anything else the drunk could say as a response? Adam, go for it.
Ooh, next one. I'll see the manager and I'll get you a table right away.
Nice. He had himself set up really well for a nice dinner with a nice little brandy or something that he had. Okay, so apparently that Narragansett Brewing Company is an American brewery. Okay. Ooh. Wow. It's real.
It's real.
Brew. It is real. I imagine in your preferences of drinking, I don't know if beer, wine, or cocktails are more along the lines of what liquor, those kinds of mixtures are more along the lines of your preference, I assume.
I'm more cocktail. My wife, she's the beer person. She's the whiskey person. She loves IPAs. I love if it's bright, if it's got a bunch of fruit in it and a little plastic sword, I am sold. I am there. So I'm the sweeter. She's what you would expect me to.
I see. It's the role reversal.
The role reversal of that's happened at least once. Where they're like, here's your whiskey thing, and here's the thing, and we're like, let's switch them back.
I see. Yeah. Well, and if it's for the flavor,
yes.
That's what you're for. Yeah, the enjoyment of the beverage, but also the flavor, not just the alcohol, but and the experience from it, but the actual flavor. I'll have to share with you. Yeah, I'll have to share with you a drink on the Disney cruise that my wife and I went on recently. They had the Star Wars bar, and I'll share that with you after we go off the air. Actually, a video of the drinks that they were serving. It's incredible. But back to our lovable drunk, and so I stole the next one a bit from 007. So will you take your atomic martini, shaken or stirred? I assume that the martinis are what is shaken or stirred, right?
Yep.
I didn't know if it was another drink that typically wasn't it 007. It was martini.
Yeah.
Or
shaken or stirred.
Yeah.
And with every footstep, it's definitely going to be shaken. So that's
very shaken. Very,
very, very shaken.
Yes. Bobby is more of a soda guy than a beer guy. And yeah. Nothing against that. Flavorful and strong. There we go. Okay. So last is where the chat gets to get the chance to name the movie that these lines in a kaiju film are from. So if you were to take a kaiju line and turn it into a toast, and suddenly we could be like, let them fight or something like that. It could have been part of the list. It was one that I just pulled out of thin air. But yeah, what if Sarazawa from the legendary series raised his glass first? It would completely change the context of his character and the film. And so why don't you start with our number 10? Adam?
Number 10. Take that, you dinosaur.
There it is. And the chat. Let's see. Jacob's still on the cocktail recipes from James Bond. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hit me up with that.
Share that. Where do we get that line from? Everyone should know this one. Take that, you dinosaur. Bonus points if you know who said that.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think I know. Pretty sure I know. The chat's a little slow on the response, but that's okay. That's okay. And if we don't get the response, that's okay. We'll go with it. So I believe it was Major Spielberg. I believe.
Was it?
Or was it Major Spielberg or his commanding?
I gotta watch it again. I made a Godzillasaurus cocktail and I remember rewatching it, trying to get some ideas.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. In the chat.
Yep. There we go.
Nice.
Samson and Bobby. You're on it. Yeah, Major Spielberg's buddy. Okay, maybe it wasn't Spielberg himself. Soldier Spielberg, young grandfather of Spielberg, or father. I assume it was his father, but whatever. We did that for the Americans, I guess. So okay. Next, after Take That, You Dinosaur. The next one that could be a toast. Take that, you dinosaur. will be, how do you like that, weirdo? I'm not sure what voice you would use for a toast like that. Because you know the voice.
How do you like that, weirdo?
How do you like that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think of that voice as a, I don't know, Yogi Bear almost kind of voice. The voice that I have in my head anyways.
How do you like that?
Jacob thinks, yeah.
Yes, that's an
alternative. That's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah. Minya. Yep. From All Monsters Attack, or as some of us call it, Godzilla's Revenge, if you come from the classic. I still like All Monsters Attack. It's a better name.
I remember making a list. I'm like, I want to make sure I have all the films. But then like my list was twice as long because I didn't realize the difference between the Japanese names and the American names for the films. So I'm like, why? I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it. I'm like, oh, I own that. No idea.
I remember hearing about a movie called Godzilla's Counterattack, and I was like, which one is that one?
What's that?
And I was like, I missed one somehow. And I still have dreams that there is a lost Showa film that will eventually end up, on video somewhere that, like the entire Godzilla versus the Wolfman, not the snippets, but the entirety of that film, or the Gamera film where he's fighting the snake or whatever it was that you see images out there of. And it's like, yeah, it's just a dream, just a pipe dream.
Well, that's why like it took me years to finally see Terror of Mechagodzilla, because I thought that was just another title.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I've never seen this monster before. What's that from? What's Titanosaurus? Like, oh.
And it has multiple titles too. Godzilla versus Gigan with the, I think it's called also Godzilla on Monster Island, which he doesn't spend a lot of time on Monster
Island. Really? I mean, yeah. Just talking to Anguirus. Let's go.
This next one should have been mine, but I'll give it to you, Adam. But it kind of works. Even with your name.
Mutual trust is a beautiful thing.
Who said it and what film? And like I said, yeah, I think our stream is probably on the delay of things, but yes, he is. Yeah. Maybe even less than 3 minutes. If somebody timed it, yeah, it's probably in that neighborhood. But yeah, mutual trust is a beautiful thing.
Anyone watching later, see how quickly you can get these.
Yeah, in the future. Another great line from the same film, S, Invasion of Astro Monster. You dirty stinking rats. From the great...
Rats. Dirty stinking rats. What'd you do to them?
Yeah, I know. The great Nick Adams. Yes. Works. I was destined to be a Kaiju fan. And a lot of people don't know that is my real middle name, Adam. So it just turned out that way. That is not my yep, there we go. Nick Adams, you guys got it. Yep. Absolutely. Glenn. There we go. Mutual trust. It's a beautiful thing. I also thought maybe you should have packed your sister on ice. Would have been a good another one, but that's not really a toast. So this one.
Anything's a toast if you're raising a glass.
Right. It could be. This one, I wonder if anyone will get it. It's The World is Ours. We'll see. We'll see. Yes, Glenn said that line, Nick Adams. So actually, Adam, I don't think I asked you if you knew this one, but if you have this, who said the world is ours?
The world is ours.
The world is ours.
I want to say it's an Exilian.
Good guess. Very good guess. But no. They had some great lines, though.
I want to say it's an alien.
No.
Disguised as a human.
Human. But not alien. A non-alien human and a Scarface. My grandfather, Nick Adams. Samson is stumped by this one, but I did use this in one of my trailers, my trailer remakes. And I actually just remember the line And it was one of those, when you're putting together trailers, of course, you get lines from these films that work as a trailer. Very generic. Nope, it was not the Space Ape. That is a good guess, though. So obviously, a villain would be saying this line. If I had to go ahead and tell you who said it, then you'll be able to guess the film, hopefully. Doctor Who. Oh, I've even got Adam stumped. Okay. Not the Doctor Who from the Doctor Who series, but the Doctor Who from a tokusatsu film, King Kong Escapes.
I haven't seen that one yet. I own it.
Oh, goodness. Oh, watch King Kong Escapes. And actually, Samson, you can answer this for me. I know there's somebody in MWA that is not a fan. It's probably an inside thing. Somebody who's not a fan of King Kong Escapes. I cannot remember who exactly it is, but somebody in that group is a diehard King Kong, anti-King Kong Escapes person. But it is a great classic. Kira Takarada, Linda Miller. Of course, it's Mr. Nakajima playing King Kong. So it's a great show of his ability in the tokusatsu and not in the Godzilla suit. Just like in War of the Gargantuas, he gets to act unlike his lizard self. So okay. I grabbed one that was a stumper. I'm always happy.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6, Adam.
There's no place else to go. Pretty soon we'll all be dead. Really dark for a toast.
It's like I thought of this as that line of eat, drink, and be merry. Tomorrow we die. Something like that. I think of those toasts. There was a toast I heard once. I don't know if it's like an Irish toast or something to that effect of, to our girlfriends and our wives, may they never meet. You've heard that? Yeah.
I keep picturing like wedding toast.
Right. Yeah.
that won't work. I'm going to get kicked out of some weddings.
Hedra. Very good. I don't remember the young man's name, but it was the assistant to the scientist. And I guess he may have been the big brother to the little boy in Hedra. I don't know exactly. There's more of a story there. But yes, his line there before they have the rave out in the out in the field.
I did not get that movie as a kid.
Yeah, and there were more substances than just alcohol being done. Yeah. Okay, your next toast. We have somebody kick me hard.
And that one, I can hear it. I don't remember who said it.
Oh.
As soon as I hear this one, I'm going to be like, oh, duh.
The boyfriend. Okay. So here we go. Hippie G versus Gigan. The long-haired hippie with the corn cob who held up Goro. Yes. Yeah. Godzilla versus Gigan. The first versus film I've ever seen was Godzilla versus Gigan. It was in the video store next to Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And Samson got it. Good work. Jacob, you'll get the next one. Good to have you guys both here. All right. Number 4, Adam, good sir.
Number 4, Wonder Lizard is down for the count.
Of course, you have to watch these films in English. When I was looking up some of these quotes, interestingly, you got the quotes from the Japanese subtitled, which sometimes are not really that impactful when you think about it, because they may not have had the translation trying to match lip movements, and so they'll rewrite the line to work for an American audience and to somehow match the lip movements. And so, yeah, you mean the best one. I'm guessing that's a slam at Jacob there. So, okay. Okay, so back to Wonder Lizard is down for the count.
Well, then you have things like Final Wars where they redubbed English characters in English, and it just looks bizarre.
English to Japanese to English again, and other international. What is it you think of the accents sometimes they get for these international cuts? The occasional British, occasional Australian, and in one case, Texas.
Godzilla?
Right.
It's the Anguinus, sir.
Anguigilius, or yeah. Always drives me crazy. This goes back to the VHS days, but Hedra. Hedra. Hedra for not Hedra, not Hedora, not Smog Monster, not Smoggy. Hedra. Did you hear that translation from the old VHS copies of?
I hear that a lot from people in general.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a part of me that wants to correct them, but also like, I don't know. that's not the important part, but also like that's wrong. Like King Caesar. I hear that in so many different ways. Rewatching the movie, they say 5 different ways. Caesar, she's like they go through a whole list. I wrote down somewhere I have a document specifically all the different ways they say King Caesar in the film.
All right, we got him stumped. Wonder Lizard is down for the count. I imagine, Adam, I didn't ask you ahead of time on any of these, but is this one?
I want to say 85.
85. But he was drinking his Dr. Pepper instead. So the military commander, whatever, that did he was the comic relief for the American audiences, I assume. And as I understand it, that whole script was going to be more comedic until they got Raymond Burr on board, and then it became a lot more like we got to take this IP a little bit more seriously. So yes, Godzilla 1985. So there we go. All right, after Wonder Lizard is down for the count. Did I read that or did you?
I did that one.
Okay. King Kong can't make a monkey out of us. King Kong, yes.
That narrows it down.
Yep. And since you've heard this line and you haven't seen King Kong Escapes, so that should narrow it down very well. You should know this one too. But yeah, absolutely. Taco, yes. This is a character my kids like to recite his lines. So because they're just very memorable. At one point, I think he even yells "Banzai." Okay, King Kong can't make a monkey out of us. We have the next one.
Banana oil.
Banana oil. I think somebody earlier, actually Bobby Reynolds,
yes,
had mentioned this one. So Bobby, if you're still in the chat, Kaiju Fanatic is in the house. Good to have you. Oh, I love that outfit.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't need an apron, but I need that.
Yes, that is looking great. Where did he go? There's Kaiju Fanatic. Absolutely good to have you. Right, again, George Takei. Yes, George Takei read that line in the Gigantus the Fire Monster, aka Godzilla Raids Again, aka first appearance of Angulus. Is it Angulus or Anguirius? What do you say?
I say, what do I say? Anguirus.
Gearus, okay.
Anguirus, yeah.
For me, it's Angulus. It's tomato, potato. But banana oil was truly the line that, as I understand it in the commentary, it was just trying to fit the words into the lip movements, and that was what came out. We got to get this done quickly. Banana oil. Go with it.
That's a great one to use like in the classroom when you're close to saying something you shouldn't around second graders, like a banana oil.
Banana oil. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if they don't understand it, what's up?
Banana oil.
Yeah. And gear us.
Anguinus. Yeah, that's the final was. Like,
Yep, you made a typo.
How do you get there?
I know. And for me, and this probably differs from you, and I don't hold anything against it, but our three-headed monster is named
Ghidorah.
Ghidra. And we can still be friends.
Okay.
And that's perfectly fine. He says Ghidorah, I say Ghidra. It's written the same way. I guess I've just heard it many more times spoken by the Japanese audience, by the Japanese characters, and by Japanese guests who've been to G-Fest and other places. They're saying literally probably Ghidorah, but they're saying it with the emphasis on the E, and it's so quick that it comes out Ghidra. Ghidra. Yeah. And so, and the first film is Ghidra, the Three-Headed Monster. That was a film that I shared a special bond with my mother. She's passed on now, but she watched that in the theaters when she was young on a double feature with something. But I just know that that was one that her and I specifically talked a lot about and watched together a lot. And so that was a special film for us. But since it always was spoken in that film as Ghidra, Invasion of Astro Monster, King Ghidra, they're saying it that way. Later, of course, they started adopting the Ghidorah and confusing me. But again, it is Ghidra. Yes, Ghidra. It depends on the film. You're right.
Monster Zero.
Monster Zero. Yep, our favorite three-headed monster. So there we go. Banana oil. And number one, this is a wonderful line, especially when you're going on a Disney cruise with your wife and you say this and she's like, cut it out. So on a beautiful night like this, you should talk about love. Let's see if the chat has it. I know they've got to have it. This is a favorite line. This is definitely one you can hold up a drink and say this line. Why this line was spoken by this character at the moment it was spoken in this film, it's anyone's guess but Jacob. Well, I thought Jacob may have had it. It's a tie. Samson and Jacob, virtually the same time. Mechagodzilla 74. The spy, I assume, the whatever you want to call it, the international spy. He was the good guy. Yeah. Our favorite character from that. Yes. Secret agent. Yes. Secret agent in Mechagodzilla 74. So there we have it. Fantastic. This has been fun, Adam.
Yeah. This is good.
This was a little different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you gotta play a little different game. Maybe even a friendly drinking game with friends. So that's what I'm saying. We'll wrap this thing up here shortly, and tell me about the films that you either like to enjoy with friends with a drink, or the ones that have that certain rewatchability. Which one lists high for you?
I might lose some people in the chat here. Final Wars has the most rewatchability to me. You could pop it on because part of it. Hear me out. There's a lot of like vignettes almost in it. There's like each song is its own scene essentially. If you listen to the soundtrack, you're like, oh yeah, that was this, that was this, that was that.
Samson.
And there's Geigen in there. We got Geigen in there. But thank you, Jacob. There we go. But it's so okay. Hear me out.
We're still with you.
If you're introducing someone to Godzilla, and you start here, and you go on the nuances, the history, all that stuff, that's huge and that's important, but you're likely to lose a lot of the people. If you show them something bizarre and bombastic like Final Wars, they're like, this is ridiculous, I'm in, then you can show them more and then build up to that. And then they can appreciate that so much more. But Final, it's just so ridiculous. I'm not saying it's the best Godzilla film. It's just the most rewatchable for me. is that there's so much happening all the time. There's just bizarre you got Don Fry. I mean, you got, like, here's something I was going to add to the toast. Sorry, I'm a vegetarian. Like, what? And I love it. I copied the audio from the entire film, burned it onto 2 CDs, because I used to, like, when I went to college, the time it took to get from there to, like, my old hometown was about the length of the film. So I would listen to the film on the drive down and then listen to it again on the drive back.
Audio theater for you there.
Yes. So to me, that's the most rewatchable. It's so silly. It's so fun. And you could miss, I could be doing dishes and that's just going on in the background. I could miss 10 minutes of it and then tune back in and be like, great, this is fun. And you're fine.
And I think you were starting to talk about like the vignette of I guess a collage almost of the different scenes and monsters they take you to, and the color schemes change along the lines. And it's like, where are we going to be in a posturized sort of yellow tint, or are we going to be in a very sharp blue in this next scene? Are we going to have more of the oranges in this next one? And then we all end up at night with that beautiful battle. Monster X and Gigan, you know, so, and it's very quotable too. Jacob, yeah, this wasn't in the movie, but Samson wants to say it anyways. I guess it was John Wick before John Wick. I also kind of thought of it as a sort of Matrix film too.
That's yeah. I mean, well, you had, was it Returner? Did you do Returner before?
Yes, yeah. Returner. I was going to mention, have you seen Returner? And you have, so we're on the same page with that. Very beautifully. A great martial arts, beautifully shot film.
I remember someone, I may have downloaded the Japanese film right as it came out. Someone may have recorded it and uploaded it, and I watched it. I'm like, this can't be the final cut of the film. This is so bizarre. And turns out it was. It's bizarre. Like you've got the sequence, they're running around, they're fighting each other, and then you've got like Ebra and Hedora, and there's like Austin Powers music. What is happening with this film? I don't know, but I love it.
Yeah,
I'm in. And Samson, I'm sorry. We can still be friends.
There's no living with them anymore. So, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Samson, hear me out.
Okay.
Godzilla versus Gigan. You got to watch the full thing. You got to sit down and focus, and it's so worth that journey. Final Wars, you can turn in and out. Final Wars, you can show to people who are like, what, Godzilla? I don't care. And that's still a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, Jacob agrees with you. Something fun. It's definitely fun. Yes, yeah, it's got that. And I love the fact that there are some of the monsters that haven't had a lot of second appearances or third appearances. Third appearance, I believe, at least of Manda, without being stock footage directly.
Yeah, Manda, you got Hedora, you got all these others who deserve more love. For sure.
There's the Gotengo too, which I always loved. Showing up in this, and oh gosh, you've got the Kamacuras again making an appearance, even if it's brief. Kamonga. I mean, why not throw them all in there? We still haven't gotten a decent reappearance of Varan, though.
I was going to say that next. Yeah. Weren't we supposed to in GMK?
I thought,
like,
yeah.
Oh, let's get the classics.
Right. And they said Baragon was enough. We're not going to put him in the title, but yet we're going to have Baragon. But yeah, Varan, one of my favorite classics. I don't know why I love Varan. I just love the design, and I love the uniqueness of that film. And I guess it's because he's the underdog, because he doesn't get a lot of, and he's thrown into the way background in these long shots of destroy all monsters that I really want. Yeah. Even King Caesar. Yeah. He was at least even he was in Final Wars, but yet
playing soccer like you do. Just
I know. Yeah, soccer with the spikiest ball you've ever seen. I hope he's okay after that. But
if we're talking rewatchability just for me, Godzilla vs. Biollante. I'll watch that all day, every day. That was my first Godzilla film. That's what got me into it. That set the bar for sci-fi for me. Like specifically, when they cut to the warnings, like Godzilla alert level 1 or like whatever, like how they cut to those throughout the film. The Godzilla Memorial Lounge, where they have the ceiling that's the skylight of Godzilla's footprint through the building from 1984, 85, just that level of detail set the bar for me. Like, that's what I hold all sci-fi to. How well have you thought about the universe you're writing your story in? Like, to the fact that, okay, this is a sequel to this thing, here's what happened. What would happen? Yeah, let's capitalize on this. Let's make a cocktail lounge that has Godzilla's footprint as a skylight. That's still one of the best things I've ever seen in cinema, period. And I love it. I love it so much.
I think of somebody who works there. It's like, isn't this a little distasteful? Yeah, I know. Or someone who owns the place. I know a lot of people died, but man, that monster was legit.
Right?
Think of Jurassic
Godzilla themed cocktails. Look at the merch we're selling. It's great.
Right. Yeah. Capitalize completely on that, and it's like, well, we didn't get haven't had a decent licensed Blu-ray of this film, of the 85 form of version of it. But, we do have international and we have some bootlegs. But other than that, Biollante still looks great. Of course, it's a fantastic film. Your first Godzilla film, it sounds like, so, right? And then and it starts with the verses. Since 84 was mine, 85, I mean, yes, the solo Godzilla wasn't a big deal to me, but yeah, you're wanting the other monsters to fight, and of course, Biollante with its epic fight that it has. And I saw your recent Super 7, review. Yeah. I've yet, they're still right here in the box. I have yet to get that review done. I'm way behind, but you had a fantastic review with the drink for the rose form. Mm-hmm.
And I just made this because I love movie props and stuff, and it's like if you can't find it, you got to make it yourself.
Oh wow, beautiful.
G-cell and the rose in a little petri dish.
I've got some Godzilla cells. Congratulations. They're hard to come by.
Yeah, so. Biomajor is going to come after me.
All right. We will close things up and stick around after the stream so we can say our proper goodbyes, but tell everyone where they can find you, Adam.
Yes, youtube.com/Thirsty Thursday Toys for the reviews and the full recipes, or if you just want to see just pictures of the fun drinks next to the figures, you can check me out on Instagram. Also, Thirsty Thursday Toys, no spaces, all one. Really long word. I should have picked a shorter name, but there it is.
And this being Thursday is a perfect day to have Thirsty Thursday Toys. On this, it's happy hour somewhere, and if you're here joining us, it's happy hour here on the Monster Report Live. So thank you so much, Adam, and thank you for your time. You've been very generous with it, and for your content creation. I thoroughly enjoy every minute of it, and I vicariously living through your enjoyment of the figures, the drinks, the films, the everything that you put into it, the heart that you put into it. I think it's very well put together, and I just get such an enjoyment. I'm giggling through it because it's just like I'm enjoying this figure that you bought and I haven't bought, but some of them I have. And so, you're very much a fan of, I can tell, Sofubi and Bandai, and of course the Jurassic Park figures and others. I don't know if I've come across an X Plus yet, but perhaps there's some in there.
I've got actually an X Plus, one of the D4 reels in, like, I'm not wearing a watch. I don't know why I look there. Like an hour, I'll drop a new recipe because it's Thursday. I gotta get another one up.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. And then I've got to throw a shout out to my good friend. I believe he put something in the chat, which was our good friend, Godzilla Fan Freaks. I think he just said, yes, that he has the Mondo Space Godzilla. So Good for you. Mondo has been doing some excellent stuff lately, and I'm really excited for you. And,
which color version?
Yeah, if Everett, you're still in the chat, let us know or send us a message, a DM on that one. But yeah, I know there was several molds of it. I missed out on every single one because they sold out in 30 seconds, maybe less than that.
I got the trendy one coming in, but that cherry blossom looks delicious.
I am looking forward to seeing your Trendmasters one. That is the one I wanted, and you got my version. So you got the one I was supposed to order. So congratulations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we'll share it on your video. Yes. So yes, thank you in the chat, Samson, Jacob, Bobby, Everett, Kaiju Fanatic, anyone else that I've forgotten about there. Yep. Awesome. And there's another great content creator in Samson West. So I'm telling everyone to go to Thirsty Thursday Toys, just search for it, find Adam's channel, subscribe, get him way over the 2,000, get him over 10,000. And we're just appreciative of what you've got going. And I just encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. It's fantastic. And, it's something we eat up, Kaiju fans. We love this stuff. We can't get enough of it. And so thank you so much for your time. And of course, if you're here, like, subscribe, comment, and all those great things here at the Monster Report. We're glad you're here. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. And we'll be seeing you again on another episode of Monster Report Live, and probably the two of us on another episode of Monsters with Attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keep getting asked to be guests on that. So again, thank you all, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much.